Hello everyone, today we're going to take a look at Timeline Challenge. Timeline Challenge is a trivia style game. It's for 2 to 5 players or teams. It can be played in 30 minutes or so, and it's designed by Frederick Henry and Cyril Demeg, and it's also published by Asmodee. So let's take a quick look. Okay, as we're here to take a look at Timeline Challenge, it is a branch of just the regular timeline games, which I'll talk about in my closing. Everybody's going to take one of these player boards, and it's going to represent one of the tokens on the board, which start here up in the start space, which is way up here, and I'm going to move them to the side just so we can see the first thing. Of course, I always end up being the airplane, but these are nice. It reminds me of Monopoly pieces. Luckily, this game does not remind me of Monopoly whatsoever. Just the camera there just a little bit. You're going to get these little player boards, and on them, basically, you're going to be able to adjust the dials like this number-wise, and it's also going to correspond to shapes when that's necessary. And the game is played fairly simple. The first thing you're always going to do, the first challenge is going to be this one right here, which represents the green. You can tell because it's green, and that's green. And this is very simple. You're going to take the timeline cards, and you're going to place them face down right here. And when I say face down, here's what I mean. On one side, it's got, in this case, the appearance of the Rubik's Cube. And then on the other side, it's going to say the same thing, the appearance of the Rubik's Cube, except the difference is going to be the date. This side, no date. This side, date. Yes, everything's going to center around these dates. So we're going to take, in this challenge, the first one we're going to play, we're going to take these, place them date side down right here. And yes, if you have a problem with things being centered up all the time, this game is going to drive you a little crazy, but that's okay. Then we'll put these back in the draw pile. And let me fix that for all those that would bother. And then everybody is going to look at this set, and you're going to see that this card is under the circle, then this one triangle, square, and star, etc. That's where these shapes come in. And so in this case, what you're going to be doing is picking the date or the date range that each of these exists in. So let's talk about the date range. Up here at the top, we're going to have a date range, and you're going to see here, there's not a number all the way up to 500 BC. And if you think it came between 500 BC and earlier, you're going to select 0 on your board, just like this. If you think that the Rubik's Cube came prior to 500 BC or 500 BC or below, you're going to put it there. And of course, 500 to 850, you're going to put a 1. All the way up, and you've got a 1880 to 1930, you would put a 7. Then you've got 1930, 1970, put 8. And then 1970 and forward, you're going to put a 9. Now, some of the cards in here that we think are pretty modern, sometimes they slip right below 1970, so it's a little tricky. So they really did a good job in picking what date that was going to be. But in this case, we'll take the Rubik's Cube, and I bet that came between the 1930 and 1970, so we'll pick 8 for that. And then we've got, this next one is the invention of sewers, and I think that came with the Romans, so we're going to pick between 500 BC and 850 AD, which is number 1, and we'll put a number 1 there. The next one is the invention of the audio tape. Surely that was in the 1900s. So I'm going to pick between 1930 and 1970, which is 8 again. Put that there. And then the final one is the invention of the wheel. And I'm not going to spend as much time on all the tasks, but this one just to get you an idea. The wheel, surely it was invented way back in here, so we're going to put a 0 there. Now let's just check it out. Rubik's Cube was 1974, which I put 8 on there, which would have put it before, so I did not get that right. And you're going to keep doing this with all 4 of these cards. And for every one you get right, you're going to move a space. So let's say that I got 3 right. I would go 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to play, and everybody else that's playing moves their piece the number of spaces they went. And then the way you decide what challenge you're going to do next is whoever is in first place, you're going to do that challenge. So let's just talk through the challenges really quickly. This challenge here, and we'll use these same cards for all of them. In this pink challenge, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to line them up here. It doesn't matter really what space they're in. And then what you're going to do is you're going to look at these with the date side down. And of course, you would use different cards, not the ones you just saw the date, but I'm just using these for this example. And you would decide on your player board which one was 1, 2, 3, 4. So which one came first? Which one was the earliest to the latest? So if I think that the wheel was first, I'd put a 1 at the wheel. Then let's do the the sewers. Let's do those second. And then I bet the audio tape came third, so the circle would be 3. And then of course this one would be 4. And then what we're going to do is flip them over and decide what order they came in. And this thing did a great job here with giving you, so just a little extra, it gives you these 1, 2, 3, 4 tokens. So we're going to see, let's see, so the invention of the wheel, obviously that came first, and then the sewers, and then the tape, and then there. So 3, 1, 2, 4. Let's see if I got it right. 3, 1, 2, 4. Very good. I would get points. I would move forward. Let's talk about the next thing on there, which is the blue one. Now, just so you'll know, this comes with a nice little handy dandy sheet, which is explains all the challenges. And so let's talk about the blue for a minute. We'll make sure and hit all of them. So in the blue, you would take 2 cards and you would put them like this, date face down. Of course, you would use new ones, but I'm going to use these same ones again. And in this case, for this challenge, what you're going to do is you're going to try to guess the number of years between these 2 items. So let's say I know that one's 1970s-ish, and this one was way early, so I would guess the number of years, and I would put those on here. So let's say it's 2,124 years between those 2, and then you would flip them over and figure out, and the closest would get points, that sort of thing. That's that challenge. Let's go to the red challenge. Like I said again, there's this cool little thing right here. Now in the red challenge, you're just going to draw 1 card, and you're going to place it out. Let's just draw a new one. And this one is the Sistine Chapel. And you would put that there. And what you're going to try to do is you're going to guess which date, which number range it comes in, 0 up to 9. But in this case, you've only got 1 card you're trying to guess. Like this one, you're trying to guess for all of them. This one, you're just guessing for 1. So what it allows you to do is, well, that's the Sistine Chapel. That was probably between 13 and 1600, so I'll guess 3. But maybe I'm off a little bit, so I'll put a 2, and then I'll guess a little higher on this one at a 4, and then I'll guess my original answer again, and that way we'll see. And you get a chance to really get some points here by guessing around it or guessing on it. And if you think you know for sure, you can just put them all the same number and get points. And you turn it over and figure it out. The other one we've got over here is this yellow one right here. And the yellow one, you draw a new card and you put it there. Then you can always refer to this again. But the yellow one is the right date. And what you're going to do is try to pick the date for that. So I think that was 1260. So I would put in here 1260, and then we would simply turn it over, and the date on it is 1483. So I would look to see what numbers I have in the right place. 1483. So there's a 1 that's in the right place, and 4. No. So I'd get a point based on. So I could be way off. It could be. These 2 numbers, I could just get these 2 numbers correct as long as it matches up with the placement of the real dates here. So that's timeline challenge. There are a few other things when somebody crosses one of these 2 challenge lines. There's special challenges you play, and it depends on the number of players and how many are in last place. Things like that. But you're going to play till somebody gets to the center, and then they win. That's the end of the game. I really like Timeline Challenge. It is a great game. It's a further implementation of just their timeline game, and the way their timeline game went. Timeline game. That's a timeline game. That's a hard one to say. Is you bought a little tin. It was about this big. Tin, terrible, and it had a couple stacks of cards in it like this, where they had what it was, and on the back they had that plus the date, and you would deal a certain number of cards out to everybody, and then you would start with a card in the center. Date side up, and then the first person that was playing would decide whether theirs came before or after, and then as that tableau in the middle grew, you would have to figure out, try to place yours in the right place within that dates. And it was a fun game, but we stopped playing it a little bit, not because we remembered all the cards. We remember some of them, and that's okay. We just keep playing with them anyway. But it just kind of got samey, and then this game came out, and it took the timeline game and added these different ways to guess the dates and learn things. Let's talk about learning for a minute. This is an educational game, but it's not the type of educational game you'd get if you go to Barnes & Noble, skip the game section, and went to that educational toys section. It's not one of those, although it probably should be put there as well, because you're learning, but you're not just learning Win was the first breeding of the Fox Terrier, but you're also learning how to estimate date ranges and just guess based on other information you have about other things when that might be. And that's a great way to learn. Now, the one good thing about Timeline Challenge is it comes with a little set deck of cards in it, but you can use the regular timeline cards for it. They're the exact same thing. You could use these cards for the regular timeline game. And luckily enough, I had bought several of the timelines, and so I've got this whole stack of cards right here that we can use with this game now. Great idea. That's a good insert. I recommend get some insert or something because what they got doesn't work, because they never make, in those preformed inserts, they never make the pockets deep enough, and I couldn't fit everything in there, so I just made this out of foam core. You go to YouTube, look on how to make foam core inserts, you can get those. How to enhance this game experience, we play some classical music in the background, but really it's all about that game, and it's about talking with each other and going, wow, I can't believe you got that right. Or my youngest daughter go, I don't know most of these. And we'll tell her, look, the great part about it is some of these you can guess, and because you guessed and then you saw the right answer, you're going to formulate ways of remembering. And so it's a great game, educationally speaking, and just fun. I recommend this highly. If you have a family, if you have kids, get it. If you have parents, get it. Just play it with everybody you can. Great game. Timeline Challenge. Thank you for joining us here at Board to Table, and remember, get games played. See you later.